What was that guy's name? He would be like on America's Funniest Videos with that squirrel or whatever with the spring in it, you know, and he would, I don't know. It goes on the microphone. That's right, guys. We are going to get right back on the old Corvair. Today we are going to be working on what feels to me like a milestone project. And would you stop pawing me? Good gravy. And that is the windshield and the back glass. So let's get busy. Oh, dude, that's painful. Now, I've been working ahead of you. About a week ago, I got the back glass in, got her all cleaned up. Very, very nice. All the glass in this thing is pretty nice. Certainly nice enough to keep using. No need to replace it. Anyway, I got it put in. I haven't quite 100% finished it up, as you can see, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to it when we get to it, why I've not finished this up. But we are going to move on to the windshield and just go step by step through the paces of what I've done here. I am actually going to bring this thing a little bit farther forward. Beautiful thing about Corvairs, one guy can just about push them up a mountain if he needs to. Okay, that's not quite true. Let's get those hard to get. I think Clark's Corvair sells metal clips if you want. Obviously, I got the plastic. There you can see the part number. And there are the screws. I hope I have another bag of screws in my stash of parts. But I'm going to get a drill bit ready and screwdriver. Okay, now speaking strictly with the plastic clips, because that's what I can show you, we have this channel in there for the head of the screw. It goes down in there. There's kind of a notch right there, and I put them all, I line them all up and drill my holes so the screw is clear on the top end of that channel. I suppose a guy could slide them off, but the screw heads seem to be too big to go down in that portion. But anyway, so this goes up against your sheet metal, and then the stainless grabs this hook. And that'll make a little bit more sense when we see it installed, so let's just do that. Pre-existing holes wanna, well, maybe that one does. I was gonna say they didn't look like they wanna line up too well, that one over there anyway, but this one looks pretty good. So they actually go on kind of counterintuitive, the way that you would think they would go on. This portion is a much larger, flatter surface, so you would think that would go up against the sheet metal, but in order for it to actually grab your trim, the opposite needs to happen. Plus there's that channel for your screw head. And if I'm wrong, I don't know what to tell you, but it works, or seems to work the way I'm doing it. So anyway, I have a 3/32 drill bit ready here, but I'm going to try to not use it if I don't have to. Now, where'd you go? Okay. Use the old speed ball here. And that one is, boy, just on the top end of where I'd want it to be. Let's see if we can help it along here. Kind of forgot the drill bit size I was using on the back, so I'm trying this out. You can use an impact driver if you want for the screws, you know. I'm just... My apologies if you have some OCD tendencies. Reusing some of the factory holes means they're not spaced evenly. And I certainly imagine Corvairs were zipping down the line. They knew they had to get this many clips in this many places. So that's what they did, and they didn't stop to measure. I guess you could say, if you're someone who cares, this is a far more accurate representation of an original car this way. If you're gonna be legalistic about it. As for myself, I'm just putting glass and trim back on. That's all I'm doing here. FYI, I think Clark sell these clips, if I remember right, in packs of 10, clips and screws, in packs of 10, and I bought 40, evidently. 20 for the back, 20 for the front. Just to give you a reference, it may also be, it may behoove you, you know, to put some tape. If you have fresh paint on the dash and the cowl, it may behoove you to put some tape along there before you start drilling away, because when that bit breaks through, well, I did pretty good, but right here I violated the paint's dignity, you know. So I'll have to touch that. I mean, it's just a tiny little speck, but I'm not going to deal with it now. I actually have something else I want to paint in this color, so I'll, you know, touch that at the moment. Those are all in. We're going to move into the other room and clean up the glass. Alright, so here we sit. This is all very obvious. You need no explanations. Razor blade, fine steel wool, glass cleaner, a rag. Do what comes naturally, you know. Got our glass clean enough for now. Overall, it's not bad. There's some bubbling and so on and so forth. Around the edges, looks like where is the other block? Boy. Great job there. Uh-oh. Did it escape? Shoot. Well, that stinks. I don't know if I can come up with something else that thickness. Anyway, the glass is going to be good enough, and the trim should cover pretty much everything that's not quite so nice, you know. I am going to test fit it in our opening. I mean, it came out of this opening, but I've also done a bit of work in here. So I just want to get eyes on it and see how it looks. Something like that. That ought to be fine. We got plenty of room up top. that's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I bought rope seal kit from Clark's Corvairs as well. This is 5/16. I bought that size because that's what Clark's sells for this purpose. No other reason than that. Includes setting blocks. They're liars. No, one fell out. Who knows where? Who knows when? So I'm going to come up with something else. Wonder if it a little, I might try to see if I can cut a little slice of rubber hose or something that thick. See if I can find something, because that's, I don't see it stuck for that anywhere. Okay, anyway, I'm going to take this back out of there and go grab some weather strip adhesive. Alright, I've got my center line marked. I want to make sure, because sure as shooting, if you just put these anywhere along the bottom, you would somehow, at least I would, somehow manage to get it right in line with one of those clips. And that's just not gonna work, you know. So, go by measurement. Looked like 2 foot apart would do it just fine. And this is just going to hold our windshield from sliding down in the opening when we're setting it in there. It's actually time for me to get out of here, but I'm going to get these on so they dry before I go. Found this little pad of rubber. I don't know, I've had them in my bin of rubber pieces for years. No clue what they're from, but it's the right thickness. So cut a little strip of that off. And all it has got to do is just hold the glass temporarily. And then it's just permanently in place when the glass is installed. Alright, we're going to let that dry, and we will be back tomorrow, hopefully, and let this down in the opening. Well, it's tomorrow. We have a nice gentle rain falling outside. By the way, it may look like I'm wearing the same clothes. I mean, I did change my shirt. I just have multiples of the same kind. Hopefully these are stuck fast on here. I don't pull them off with the tape, anything like that. Oh, you're trying, that's for sure. I think a guy could really do this without gluing them on. Just me being one guy here, and it was my idea. I wanted to do it that way. I'm doing in 3M 5/16. What do they call it? Window weld ribbon sealer. This is 15 foot long. You will need 1 box of this stuff per end of the cabin, you know, per piece of glass. Now I'm going to come in here. This is not as sticky as the other stuff. That's great. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start at a post. I'm going to get it sealed off anyway, but I want my gap, my ends of the ribbon at the drain at the bottom of this post here. I'm going to go around, and we are going to, boy, I'm not impressed. But I'm going to stick it on at the very edge of the pinch weld. I don't know if I want to run around with a heat gun on this. which I do not have here at the moment. It is also just over 60 degrees in the shop this morning, which could play a factor in the softness. Even though that was a lot softer and stickier on the other side. What I did, it wasn't a hot day by any means, but the sun came out eventually, and I guess I just have to kind of judge where I want this. I'm going to scoot it down. I pushed the car outside and let the sun really warm up that back seal with the window installed, so it would all kind of just sink into it, hopefully, when it got warm. Just trying to put this, kind of make the gap between the clips and the seal the same as is everywhere else. Okay. Now they are quite emphatic. The directions on the box, not to overlap this stuff, but to just push the ends together to form a seal. However, on the back window, on a couple of the corners, there was a big dip in the pinch weld area. And in those cases, I actually put a second layer. I cut a short piece of this and put a second layer to build that up. Probably something you should take care of in the metal before you get to this point. All right, another thing I could do is run to the other shop and get that infrared lamp. I don't think we're gonna have sunshine outside for some days, and so that might be a great idea. You mean despite measuring, I still got that block in the wrong spot? What in the world? Golly. My genius is showing. Okay. Well, this is turning out great. No. You're gonna scratch up the new paint now too, mister? Is that what you're trying to do? Just get in there. Okay, I need to go a long way to the left. A little over 1/8 of an inch there. That's looking halfway decent. And it fell down up top. It's not sticky because the product was crap. All right, I've got good old Mr. Melanoma humming away back there, warming up. The problem I was really having, other than the old dried out seal, is the bottom right hand corner of the windshield. It just did not want to lay flat down on the ribbon. I think I'm moving the car. Okay, that heater, I've got that lamp on the hood and I don't want it to fall, obviously. Anyway, so obviously the whole thing needs to be softened up, because it just, this one, even in here in the cool shop in the shade, I put the glass in and I went around and you could see it squish against the seal and stick there. That one doesn't want to do that. I hope it works. Also, I just noticed sitting on the ground our long lost block. So I don't know that I need to bother changing it out, but there it is. So that's cool. Just for your reference, this seal I bought from Clark's along with all the other supplies at the same time, but I only bought one. I did not read the fine print, read that it won't, or maybe at that point I hadn't even decided to do both. Well, I don't know. I had all the clips and screws to do both. Anyway, I only bought one box of the window weld. The second one that we just put on, where do you think I got it? Go on, guess. The eBay machine. I went to the eBay machine and surprise, surprise, it's an old, expired, you know, I don't know if there's a date on it, but dried out thing. So hopefully we can get it to work. If not, it won't be a big deal to pop it back out. Now, I am not going to get carried away on the wings of Restoration Ecstasy. We've talked about this before in regards to this project. In fact, concerning the stainless trim, I was very tempted to do absolutely nothing. But if I have anything to do with it, the chances of my having this off of the car and loose ever again is probably pretty slim. So I'm gonna do the least amount of work possible. I have all the buffing supplies for it. So I'm not gonna sand it all down, bump out the dents, take care of the deep scratches. I'm just gonna run it through the buffer, probably a couple stages, clean it up, and call it good, and walk away. That's all I'm gonna do. We're not doing anything else. Emery compound and sisal wheel. I'm not nearly done yet, but this is what we're going from. And I've only done one step, the emery. I don't know if we're focusing at all here, but you know, it does stuff. This totally for pros only, bruh. I mean, if you have not trained yourself to come in at the proper 45 deflection angle in relationship to the wheel, your goose is just cooked right from the beginning. I mean, you gotta get right, you know. It's just right there. That's the honey spot right there, man. Right there. What's the biggest problem with amateurs and even trying this? Oh, that's a hard one, bruh. It's either having the nerve to order the supplies and try it yourself, or the gall of those outfits who think they should sell it to you. I'm not there, man. Oh yeah, right there. Stainless compound on a ventilated wheel. Yeah, you know, I've had this thing on here a good 4 hours, and maybe the very center up top, maybe the bottom. It's cool to the touch on the edges, but you know, maybe it started to soften there. It's just not really working. So I'm gonna unplug this, take this off for the night. Unfortunately, we're coming into the side of their time of the year, late October here, where we can't really rely on warm weather and sunshine. Certainly the next few days we're going to have cloudy or partly cloudy skies and 50s and 60s for a high. So the sun will come out, it will get a little warmer, no doubt. And when it does, I will push this out and see if we can get that to do anything. And if not, I guess we try something else. Jayhawker, what are you doing? Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing, nosy. This is going to be the warmest day we have had in a while. The high, yesterday they said the high was 77. Now it says 73. I don't know. Periodic clouds. But I had it outside the other day. The high was only, I think, low to mid 60s, and it did start softening this dried out seal. So we're going to try it again on a bit of a warmer day. Give it all day in the sunshine, and hopefully that thing sinks into that seal a little bit. I did that with this one and it worked out really well. You can see we have pretty good contact all the way around. So we will re-adjourn at the end of the day. But it looks good sitting outside, doesn't it? Oh yeah. Just can't wait to get this thing running. It's November 14, 2025, and we had an unusually warm day. 80, I think it was 82 in the truck on my drive over here. Looking at the thermometer, you know. There's that book about Mr. Owl making tear water tea. I think an Englishman would be making sweat water tea right about now. Anyway, that seems to have done the trick. It was already stuck down pretty hard from previous days in the 70s. But there were spots, especially at the bottom right in front of the steering wheel there, that had not stuck down. I am much more encouraged now. So I think I'm going to put it in for the evening. I closed the lid to drive it in here, and my danged old tag light lens popped out broken. Granted, it needs to be, probably replaced anyway, as it's painted, but now I definitely can't do anything with it. I guess that's what I get for making fun of whiny Englishmen. No, I'm sorry. I think it's funny, when they're whining about what we call in the summertime room temperature, and they're whining about it. That's okay. It makes life interesting. But the old Dirty Airy sure sounds like she wants to run, huh? Well, isn't this just peachy? This video began with microphone problems, got a new one, and now it's gonna end with microphone problems. If it's annoying to you, I understand. It's very frustrating to me, as you may well imagine. Are there any good boom mic operators out there listening? I could use you. Anyway, we're going to finish this project up. We're going to use some cheap enough insurance and squirt some silicone around the outside edge just to kind of help seal anything up that might possibly leak.
cheap enough insurance, and especially considering the front weld cord, I definitely want to get it around there. We had some minor technical difficulties along the way, but eventually we get a good product and we get it in there. I went ahead and I began at the back just for practice and went ahead and snapped in the trim there, and then we're going to finish it up on the front end. Now I'm going to let myself, with some very bad audio, finish this video up. I apologize for that, but it is what it is.
Now, when a guy takes something apart, it is not at all natural, at least it's not in my case, to pay attention to every single little detail of what you don't like about it before you take it apart, unless it's just not working right. Then you notice those details. But something like this, it was there, it was supposedly functioning, we knew there was a leak, but there are gaps and things I don't like about the trim that I'm only noticing when I put it back together. And, on this project, I'm not going to spend any more time on it. If it was somebody else's full restoration, you may want to test fit those pieces, make sure the lines and the gaps are what you want, and then go ahead and install it. But I know for a fact these were like this, presumably, unless glass was replaced at some time. These were probably most likely this fit from the factory, because we know this had been resprayed at one time and there was paint all over the stainless trim. So you could surmise that they had never been removed before. So, when you go back together with something, it's a lot more natural to be hard on yourself and, man, I really don't like how this is looking, and then it's up to you if you're going to take the time and the money and whatever else and try to fix it. But it's going to be good enough for old Dirty Airy here. The other thing I just mentioned, the plastic clips, I bought them for corrosion protection. That's the reason I went with plastic. I really think, how old cars are treated these days, kept indoors most likely, only driven on an occasion, it's really doubtful those metal clips would ever rust out again. But that's the reason I bought the plastic. I think I would go back to metal given a choice next time. I really think that's it. Glad to have this milestone. It feels like such a milestone, a big step, getting the car fully enclosed again. I mean, minus the missing door. I also have a video basically completely recorded. Our first step in the interior, you may have noticed the rear seat back there. That's not staying like that. The seats are getting completely reworked, That's going to be another big project. I just threw that in there just for fun for that other video. So you'll see that coming up. Be sure you're subscribed. Like the video if you want. Leave a comment if you want. Email me if you want. Become a member of the channel if you want. $2.99 gets you another video per month-ish. I try as hard as I can to get something up there. I think if you're not a member, you can go to my playlists and look through the videos that say for members only and see if that's something you would be interested in doing. You get another video per month-ish, and it helps me out with cost of equipment and whatever else, getting parts, so on and so forth. And I really appreciate all of those who have done that. I guess that's it. That's enough talking. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. See you on the next one. What?